Vonnie EC, another trucker. What's the word? I know what it is. It's a question. Is it better to be single while being in trucking? And the idea for this video was inspired by a comment that somebody had left in one of my videos a couple weeks ago. I think I was touching on like mistakes that rookies make. And somebody left a comment in the comment section and said that why they was in trucking getting into a relationship is one of the worst decisions they ever made. And I thought that was funny and interesting. Because I've commonly heard that um, you know, one thing that we commonly know, a lot of us commonly know, I guess you could say, like, we know that trucking can put a lot of pressure on people's home front situations. You got family, relationship, and you the person out the household that's in this trucking industry, especially if you spending long amounts of time over the road, away from home. Trucking can put a strain on your household situation. It could put a strain on your marriage, put a strain on your relationship, just put a strain on your family affairs. Yeah, trucking to do that to you, man. Um, how can I say? In a lot of cases, from a lot of people's standpoints, people who have a social base before they get into trucking, you're a sociable person. You know, you involved. You frequent events and things of that nature, whatever they may be. You around for the holidays, parties, this, that. You know what I'm saying? Trucking to take you away from all that for the most part. You know what I'm saying? Especially for a lot of people when they first coming into the industry. You coming into the industry trying to get your feet wet, going over the road, if that's the route that you choose, which that's the route that a lot of people end up going when they first come into trucking. So yeah, man, being away from home like that can really put a strain on your family situations. Now, not necessarily saying that every situation is bad, I'm pretty sure, and there are people who's been in trucking, they've been in relationships, they've been married for quite some time. I think that you just got to have a strong foundation. If you're somebody that's getting into trucking, man, everybody in your household, if you got people depending on you, or whatever the case may be, man, everybody in the household or your significant other, they got to be on the same page. Everybody got to be on the same page. Well, it's probably not gonna work out. It's probably not gonna work out. I don't really know how I go with women that come into trucking. You know what I'm saying? Women, they might have a significant other at home, especially if they're dealing with a man. I don't really know how things be going for women. You know what I'm saying? But one thing I commonly do hear is a lot of men that come into trucking or that's in trucking, they done lost their wives, they done lost their girlfriends, they done lost their families. I'm pretty sure it's probably women out there that have been through that, but I don't hear about it in record numbers. It's a common thing amongst men. You know what I'm saying? The pressure be on men. We got to get out here, we got to make it happen. But when we spending too much time, the time is needed to make things happen. The people that we doing it for, you know, for some reason we just fall short. You know what I'm saying? Not necessarily saying me, but just in general as men. Just like I've touched on this a couple times. It's this video that went viral last year, man. This one white dude having a nervous breakdown on the side of the road. And he basically was just saying, man, just expressing his pain of going through this trucking and trying to build a trucking business. And at the same time, you got to deal with people who are not appreciating your efforts at home. I.e. his wife, girlfriend, whoever his significant other was, and kids, and you know what I'm saying? So that's tough to trucking is already tough as it is. And then you gotta get done with this and then go home to a household full of ungrateful people. I couldn't imagine that. It definitely couldn't be me. So these type of stories is common. They very common. But this is why I always say as well too, you know, a lot of what you got going on outside of just driving a truck is going to affect the progress of what you got going on in trucking. You know what I'm saying? Trucking, I always say, man, trucking is mental. This is a mental game. There's more to it than just sitting in a chair and driving a truck. Your mental got to be right. And it got to be and coming in, even if you don't know nothing, it's all new. You out your comfort zone. You know, you jumping into the unknown with this, then you have to have a strong enough mind that's willing to adapt and become acclimated to this. Because you got to have a strong mind or the mind for this. You know what I'm saying? Or somebody that's built to do this. Yeah, I believe trucking is very mental. Very. Through the years, I've come to realize this is a very mental game. You know, the driving part is easy. Getting used to driving the truck, that's easy, but it's the other things that come with it along the way. And even as you decide to level up in whichever way you decide to level up, whether you go from company driver to getting your own truck, to lease, or going to get your own fleet, each level that you get to, your mind got to become acclimated to that level. Just like when I went from being a company driver to getting my own truck, I had to acclimate myself and acclimate my mind to the level of having my own truck and really understanding and what it takes and having to like restructure some of my habits and my thinking and you know everything looking forward. So your mental got to be right doing this game. And you know, if you got distractions outside of trucking that's hindering the health of your thinking and your mental well-being, this trucking gonna be hard. It's gonna be hard, man. I mean, me personally, I don't blame women. You know what I'm saying? On the side, no, I don't blame women for nothing. But it is commonly known that a lot of men have how can I say it? A lot of men have stifled, if I'm saying that right, or just fumbled their progress due to their lack of discipline with how they deal with women. You know what I'm saying? A lot of men fall due to how they deal with women, especially in this trucking industry. And like I say, I don't blame women. You know, like the saying goes, a woman is a man's worst downfall. I don't believe that. I believe men allow women to be their downfall because a woman don't have to be your downfall. They don't have to be. You know what I'm saying? I believe men allow it. But that's a whole nother video. We gonna touch on that one day. But that's just something that I've seen, witnessed, whether real life or just, you know what I'm saying, seeing other content creators that have spoke on, you know, been transparent about certain things. And a lot of times when their progress get fumbled, a lot of times it always roots back to whatever female they was dealing with. Yeah. Yeah. So your mind gotta be right, man. You gotta have a strong mind for this industry. And you gotta be careful about the type of energy you got surrounding you outside of driving the truck. So like I said, man, I'm not saying that being in a relationship is bad or good. We're just throwing a question out there. You know, is being single better? As far as being in a relationship, I just put it like this, man. I think that if you're gonna be in a relationship, you doing this trucking, you gotta really be with somebody that's gonna understand. And then at the same time, sometimes you don't even know how long, even if in the beginning, you know what I'm saying, they say they down with it. You don't know how long it's gonna last until they start getting tired of it. You know. I don't know. For me, I've been single ever since I came into trucking, and I made it that way on purpose, by choice, because I already knew what I was coming into, and I just already knew what I didn't want to deal with coming into trucking. You know what I'm saying? Relationship, situationship type of thing. I already been there, done that by the time I came into trucking. So I didn't want no distractions. I didn't want no distractions being in trucking, because I knew this was gonna take. I came into trucking willing to give my all, basically, and I just knew I couldn't afford no distractions, man. I didn't want to be on the road worrying about what was going on back home. I didn't want to be on the road worrying about other people's problems. You know what I'm saying? I didn't want to be on the road with somebody putting the weight of guilt on me and I'm never home. I didn't want to deal with that. You know, and that's a sacrifice. That is a sacrifice with being serious about this trucking. You know, we know a lot of people don't really take this trucking serious, you know. Like I say, man, I see a lot of people, they got more bad things to say about trucking than good. But I came into trucking taking it seriously, and I still take it seriously. And I can honestly say, and I've been saying this since day one, man, I've been getting a lot back of what I put into it. You know what I'm saying? I don't really got no complaints about trucking, me personally. But I made sacrifices. Not being in a relationship, or not allowing myself to be in distractions when dealing with relationships, or you know what I'm saying, how can I say, over welcoming rendezvous. You know what I'm saying? Those are sacrifices that I made coming into and being in this industry. I mean, I came into trucking at 34 years old, so you know what I'm saying? I would have to say, being in my mid 30s coming into trucking, I was pretty seasoned at a lot of things in life. Not saying that I knew everything or did I know everything, but I had enough seasoning, you know what I'm saying, enough flavor in my experience to know what I did not want, and just to have certain understanding about certain things. And I just knew I needed a clear mind. I needed clear space to be able to fly free in this industry and do what I needed to do. So yeah, it has worked out for me, and we still working it out. I'm still in the trenches. We still trying to get it up. You know what I'm saying? Or not trying, but we are. Me, myself, and I, that is. You know what I'm saying? But um, yeah, I had no complaints. So I don't know. Guess it all depends on the person and who you asking. It's a question, but the answers are subjective. You know, in some ways, the things that people got going on outside of trucking, relationships, and dealing with women, just speaking from a man perspective, you know, sometimes some people can get distracted and they throw their whole game off. But in some cases, for some people, being in a relationship might be the fuel to a person's fire to get out here and grind. It might be for some people. You know, once again, speaking from it could be anybody's perspective. A woman, man, anybody who got people that's dependent on them and they getting out here trucking, you know, that definitely could be more fuel to the reason to be out here and actually take it seriously. So, you know, for some people, you know, it's people out here that's successful, that's doing their thing, that's in relationships, marriages. So it's not all a bummer. You know what I'm saying? And that ain't the picture that I'm trying to paint. But I can also speak from my experience of being a single person, single man, being in this industry, and I've been able to get a lot done. I don't know. Who knows? Who knows? Maybe if I was in a relationship and had kids and had shorties, maybe I could have got farther. You know what I'm saying? Maybe the need and the desperation to provide would have put me more on my toes. You know what I'm saying? Because I already think I've been on my toes. But I can imagine it would be different when you got people depending on you. So, but I don't know, man. Just going back to what inspired this video. The guy said his worst mistake was getting into a relationship. Well, obviously, just speaking from my perspective, well, how I think and how I've been moving, I feel him. You know what I'm saying? I feel him. I can understand how that person feel that way. You know, but let society tell it it's something wrong with with those of us who choose not to be in a relationship. You know, you know what people say. Well, you ain't got this, you ain't doing this, you ain't married by this age, and you ain't got this, then something must be wrong with you. And yeah, I think about that, and I think it is something wrong with me. I think it is something wrong with me, man. I definitely can admit that it is. I got addictions. I got some heavy addictions. Two of them to be exact. Yeah, number one, I'm addicted to the grind. I'm addicted to the grind. Yeah, I sure am, man. I can't help it. And the second one, the most important one, I'm addicted to my peace of mind. They're my problems. Those are my problems. Yeah. Something is wrong with me. I'm addicted to the grind and my peace of mind. So yeah, man, being in this industry, yeah, I've been able to have a peace of mind. I just, like I say, man, I've done the relationship thing. Done it. Situationship, living with a person, I've been through it. And not even say that situation, a past situation that I was in, because I only been in one relationship, one full story. It's only one person that I've dealt with on that level. You know what I'm saying? Because I just never been in and out of relationship type of person. Just I don't care about relationships, to be honest. I never have. Not that much. Obviously, I only been in one. So, and after that came to its natural close, I just ain't look back. I just ain't look back. And just from speak, some people, everybody gonna feel different, man. Some people need to be around other people or need to be in relationships to feel validated. I just was never one of them type of people. You know what I'm saying? I enjoy my peace of mind. I enjoy my freedom. When I wake up in the morning, I enjoy hearing birds chirping and hearing nothing else but my shoes or my house shoes sliding across the kitchen floor, making me a pot of coffee. I enjoyed it. That is priceless. And I've been able to get a lot done. You know what I'm saying? In this trucking, man, I've been able to think clear, um, get through hurdles, build and pull myself up, so to speak, without no distractions. The only distractions I've had since I've been in trucking are the distractions within trucking. But outside of trucking, just through my life experiences, I've grown to be disciplined enough to have the discipline to not allow distractions. You know what I'm saying? If it don't align with the frequency that I'm on, gotta walk away from it or just let it be or let it fly past me. You know what I'm saying? And it's a sacrifice, fam. When you serious about something, you gonna have to make sacrifices. You, in some ways, things that you have to let walk past you, you might feel like you missing out on stuff. I spoke on this before, due to the dedication and to the grind, certain chicks, I had to let them get past me because I wasn't finna compromise what I got going on to suit them in no kind of way. I remember a chick. This was some years ago, but I remember I was talking to this one chick, and I just remember one of the first things that she said when we first started talking. I'm telling her about my work schedule. And I just remember her saying, "Oh, you work too much." I knew right then that shit wasn't gonna work. You know what I'm saying? I can't have you making slight comments on my grind, baby. I can't have you doing that. Straight up. And that shit ain't turned into nothing. You know what I'm saying? That's just me personally. And maybe, you know what I'm saying? Some people gonna feel me, some people not. But just speaking from a single man's perspective, I've been able to move through this industry. I'm not saying my experience in trucking has been perfect, but I've been able to fluidly move how I need to move. I got flexibility. I don't have distractions. You know what I'm saying? The capacity of my mental health is healthy. I don't have things tugging at me outside of trucking, and I made it that way. You know, it's funny, man. I remember this one time. This goes again to sacrifice and just being so dedicated to what you choose to do and what you choose to get into. The sacrifices they got to come with it. Once again, I use myself for an example. I remember one time I was in Walmart in the checkout line. So it was this older lady. She in the checkout aisle too, a self checkout aisle, and she spots me and she started looking me up and down. She like, you know what? You kind of cute. You kind of cute. She kept telling me that I was kind of cute. I don't know if she was trying to say that I was medium ugly. Thinking in my head like, what you mean, kind of? But no, she was like, yeah, you know what? You might want to meet my daughter. I think you would be, I think you would like to meet my daughter. So, you know, she get to asking me what I do, and she had this excitement in her eyes. Cause I remember exactly what I had on too. I was in my work clothes, work boots, jeans. I had on a navy blue champion hoodie and my trucker cap. I looked like a regular working man. And them older ladies, this lady probably had to be like in her early 60s or something like that. But a lot of those older women, they could look at a man in his work uniform and see value. A lot of these modern women today, they see a man in the work uniform and they think less of him. You know what I'm saying? So this older lady, she checking me out to be a third party representative for her daughter. And I guess she seen the value. I told her I drive trucks, whoopty woo. So she's like, I'm gonna introduce you to my daughter. So she called her daughter up, you know, giving her the 411 who she just met and who she want her daughter to meet or whatnot. So she got her daughter's information, which was basically Instagram, whatever. So I'm like, all right, I slide up on her when I get a chance. So later on that day or the next day, I went to the daughter's Instagram page and checked out, man. She was a very nice looking woman, man. Gorgeous chocolate sister. Yeah, she was nice. Can't even lie. I like her profile, the way she was carrying herself. She wasn't tooting her ass up. None of this crazy stuff. You know what I'm saying? Would have been a good look. Would have definitely been a good look. So yeah, I slides off in the inbox, get to chopping it up with it, and you can tell. You know what I'm saying? People know what I mean. Like you can feel, even though it's hard. Sometimes people can get when people type things on social media. Sometimes you can get what people are saying as far as what they meant misconstrued. You can tell people's energy sometimes, the flow of energy when you communicating with them through a text or when you communicating with them through a DM. You can just tell by the involvement of people sending messages back and forth. You can kind of tell, you know what I'm saying? The interest and the energy, you can just feel it. So to make a long story short, man, jumping off the conversation or whatnot, man, I felt the energy was good. You know what I'm saying? I could feel like she was real involved. She was interested. The conversation flowing. Then it got to the point to where she asked me, what's my availability? I think she asked me what I did. I told her I was trucking. You know what I'm saying? I'm pretty sure her mama already told her I was a trucker, but I know it boiled down to her asking me what was my availability, work schedule. I told her, like, I drive regional. I'm over the road most of the time. I get home maybe once or twice a week. And I just remember her response was, oh, that's nice. Oh, that's nice. So maybe I might have been tripping. Maybe I might have been tripping. Maybe I jumped the gun. Maybe I was thinking too hard. But I didn't like that response. And to me, oh, that's nice. Just the energy I felt in that moment, I just felt like that was like a blow off. Like, okay, you know what I'm saying? I felt like I said, you could just tell certain things. You know what I'm saying? Some people know what I'm talking about. But just the way she responded, like, oh, that's nice. You know what I'm saying? That's like, it's just a vague blow off. Like, okay, you a truck driver, you ain't got no time. You know what I'm saying? Because, like I say, this woman, I'm pretty sure she's probably dating or opening herself up to communicate with people, to date and to get into a relationship. Plus, she already had 2 kids or whatnot. So she looking to date to get into a relationship, And like I say, judging from how things looked on her Instagram, she looked like she carried herself well. So, I don't know. But for one thing, I know how people look at truckers too. A lot of people think a lot of people got a problem with the availability of being in a relationship with a trucker. A lot of people think that, especially a lot of male truckers, we just got women in different area codes. They assume that about all of us. We get a bad stigma for some people. You know what I'm saying? I remember when they had that Cheesecake Factory debate, whether the Cheesecake Factory was a suitable place to take somebody for a date or whatnot. And during that time, I don't know if y'all remember, but they was creating these memes. Women was creating memes and men was creating memes of standards of what they got to come with. What they got to come with when they come to the table or whatnot. Silly shit. But I remember one of those memes, which was made by a female, had all these list of things that was required to date her. And one of the things on that list was do not mess with truck drivers. I'm like, damn, why we got to keep getting the ass end of the stick? So, yeah, when baby girl say, oh, that's nice, I don't know. You know what I'm saying? I just took it like, all right, man, she probably ain't even interested. And I'm just going to leave it right here. You know what I'm saying? I ain't even respond back. I left that shit right where it was at. And like I said, maybe I could have been wrong. Maybe I was overreacting, even though I don't think so. Because one thing I'm not finna do, I'm not finna waste my time trying to convince. You know what I'm saying? I'm not finna be trying to persuade nobody. And I'm not finna be going out my way to compromise to get somebody to be aligned with me. And that's an example, a part of the sacrifice of staying down with something. Like really staying down with it. Because I'm not finna compromise and change what I got going on till I feel like changing it. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know, But do you though, I'm not here to say that being in relationships is all bad. Just gotta make sure you know who you dealing with. Make sure whoever you dealing with and sharing your time with and whoever you doing things for, man, you gotta just make sure y'all on the same page. It's gonna be hard being in a situation to where it's two people thinking and going and moving in two different directions. And you don't need that in trucking, man. You need your full mind for this trucking because it's already the job itself, or dealing with what's in this industry itself is already hard enough. Then you got to deal with outside distractions. Me, I just was never for it. I was just never for it, man. So is being single better for being in the trucking industry? I don't know. Or being single or being in a relationship? I don't know. That's up for the person to answer. What you think about it? Till the next time, Bonnie EC, another trucker. Gone.